Hello students, today we will do the example related to the previous lectures. Now these three examples are MCQ based, that is the direct application of the theory we have studied in the previous lecture. Example number 1, a wire carrying current of 2 ampere and the mass of the wire is 200 gram, the length is 1.5 meter, is suspended in the mid-air by the magnetic field. The magnetic field is cross. It means it is going into the plane of the paper or the plane of a board. Now this wire is suspended in the mid-air. We know that if anything is suspended in the air, there will be a force of gravitation which will pull the body towards the center of the earth, means the body will fall. But with the help of the magnetic field, this wire is suspended. So let us consider this wire which is carrying a current I. The magnetic field is cross. It means it is going into the plane of the paper. So the magnetic field is cross. Now the force of gravity, that is the weight of a wire, is mg. Now this wire will fall freely under the influence of the gravity or the gravitational force. Now if it is suspended, or it will be suspended only if there is some force which is opposite to the gravitational force. So let us see what is the magnetic force acting on the wire. Because it is a current carrying wire which is placed in the magnetic field. The magnetic force acting on wire, that will be given by F is equal to IL cross B. This is the formula for the magnetic force, where IL is the current element or a small element. So if I have to determine this, I will divide this entire wire into a small element, and this one element will be referred as IDL, that is a current element, and then we do the integration or summation, then this is the resultant force acting on it. So the length is taken along the x-axis. So you can either use a right hand screw rule, or you can take the help of a unit vector ijk to determine the magnetic force. So if this is IL and this magnetic force is going, the magnetic field is going into the plane of the paper. So this is the situation. This is the magnetic field which is going into the plane of the paper. Now if I apply a right hand thumb rule, it is IL cross B. So the thumb is upward. I will move from the vector IL to the B. So I am applying here the thumb rule. So thumb is upward. Now if I keep this arrangement like this, then the thumb comes upward, that is opposite to the gravitational force. So this is IL cross B. And if I have to apply the screw rule, I will place a screw here, rotate it in the direction from IL cross B, that is from this side to this. So I will rotate it like this. The screw will be moving upward. So you can place a screw, rotate it. So if you see the direction of the head of the screw, it will be anti-clockwise and it will be coming upward. So the magnetic force will be in the upward direction using the right hand screw rule. Now this wire will remain suspended in the mid-air only if the magnitude of the magnetic force is equal to the magnitude of the gravitational force. So using screw rule, Fm is in upward direction and wire remain suspended only if Fm is equal to Fg, that is the magnitude. Now Fm, IL cross B, the angle between them is 90 degree, sin 90 is 1. So the magnitude of the magnetic force is BIL, B-I-L, that is equal to mg. We have to determine only the magnitude of the magnetic field. So B is equal to mg upon IL. This is the formula. All the values are given to us. The mass is given, which should be converted into kg. G we know, I is given, L is given. So you substitute this value and we will get the magnetic field. The unit is Tesla. So this is example 1. Now example 2, again it is to understand the direction of the magnetic force. The magnetic field is along the positive y-axis. The positive y-axis is going into the plane of the board. So the diagram is given. B is given along the positive y-axis and a charged particle. Now we have a two option. In first part, an electron is entering in this magnetic field, and in another case a proton is entering. Both the charged particle are moving along the x-axis, so I denote it by a I cap. We have to simply find out the Lorentz force. So again, direct application, we know that Lorentz force N, the Lorentz force acting on charged particle due to magnetic field will be given by F is equal to Q V cross B. This is our general formula. This is equation number 1, or a general formula. Now clearly in the question, B, that is the magnetic field, and the velocity are perpendicular to each other. So in this situation, the angle is 90, sin 90 is 1, so the maximum force will act, and if these two quantities are perpendicular, the path will be circular, that we know. But the question is, we have to simply find out the direction of the force acting on an electron. So we substitute the values, that is F can be written as, now it is electron, so I will write minus E. V vector can be written as V I, that is a magnitude, into its direction, cross B J. So this is equal to I cross J. So this is our formula for the cross product. I cross J is K, J cross K is I, like this. Now we have I cross J, so that is K. We already have a minus sign, so it will be minus EB K. This minus is indicating the direction. So force acting on electron is along negative Z axis. The force acting on an electron is along the negative Z axis. Similarly, if we take a proton, simply there will be a difference of this sign only. So for a proton, F vector can be written as E Vi cross Bj. So this will be equal to EVBK. So the force acting on proton is along positive z axis. So this is the direct application of the magnetic force acting on a charged particle. Now again, third question. Again a charged particle having a mass 9 into 10 raised to minus 31 kg. So clearly it is an electron. The charge is given. It enters with a speed 3 into 10 raised to 7 meter per second in a magnetic field normal to it. So here it is given that the particle enters normal to the field. We have to determine the radius, frequency and the energy. So we have studied this, that when V vector is perpendicular to B vector, then the path is circular. And if the path is circular, the necessary centripetal force was provided by the magnetic force. The necessary centripetal force was provided by the magnetic force. So that was our derivation. So centripetal force mv square upon r is equal to magnetic force, that is QVB. Here V and B are perpendicular to each other, that is given in the question. That is theta is equal to 90 degree. So we are writing the magnitude. Centripetal force is equal to QVB, and this we have already derived. R is equal to mv upon qb. So all the values are given. Mass is given, speed is given, charge, that is E, B is given. You substitute this value and find out the radius. So that is the first part. In the second part, we have to find out the frequency. So directly, if you know the formula for a frequency, you can apply that formula. Suppose you don't remember this formulas, again in the place of V, you can write R omega. So RR will be cancelled here, it will be omega, and omega will be written as 2 pi f. That is a frequency. So we have this situation. If I want to find out the frequency, I can take the use of this. In the place of V, I write R omega upon QB. So RR will be cut, and in the place of omega, I will write M 2 pi nu, that is a frequency, upon QB. So nu is equal to, this implies nu is equal to QB upon 2 pi m. So this is the formula, one formula. If you don't remember it, you can use the substitution method. So Q, B, M all is given. Another formula is, suppose we have to find out the periodic time. Periodic time means the time taken by a particle to complete one rotation. So this is a particle is performing a circular motion. So periodic time or the time period is equal to distance covered, that will be the circumference, that is 2 pi r, into, that is speed. So distance upon speed is equal to time. Now I have to find out the frequency. So frequency is the reciprocal, so it becomes V upon 2 pi r. So here either you use this formula, or frequency can be equal to speed, that is V divided by 2 pi r. So V is given, R you have already found. You substitute this value So this will be the frequency, the unit will be the hertz. So you can use either of these two formula. Third, you have to find out the energy. In the question it is given that find out the energy in EV. Now clearly, if a particle is performing a circular motion, its speed is constant, so you have to find out its kinetic energy. So in third portion, the kinetic energy is equal to half mv square. So m is given, v is given. You substitute this value, you will get the answer in joule. Then I have to convert this because the question is find the kinetic energy in EV. So I will divide it by this answer by 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19, and the answer will be in EV, that is an electron volt. So these are the three examples which were directly related to the theory which we have done in the last previous lectures. Now let us see question number 11 and 12 of exercise, which is similar to this example 3. It is given that in a chamber an electron is shot normal to B. So again electron is entering perpendicular to the magnetic field. We have to first, in a first part, you have to explain what will be the path followed. That we have already covered in a theory. So if you remember, this was our theory where the B vector was going into the plane of the board and the particle was entering perpendicular to it, and we found that the path performed by the particle will be circular, that is at each and every instant the magnetic field will be directed towards the center. So this was a theory. As soon as it enters perpendicular to the magnetic field, the magnetic force will act on it and it will start moving in a circular path. The velocity at any instant will be along the tangent, the force is perpendicular to it and it is directed towards the center. So this was our theory which we have already discussed in the previous lecture. So that theory you have to write down again in this example. This is our F and this is your V. So at each and every instant the magnetic force will act perpendicular to the plane containing B vector and V vector. As a result, the path will be circular. So same theory you write in this first part. Second part, if it is performing a circular path, find the radius. Again the radius formula in this is R is equal to mv upon qb. Here it is electron, so you have EB. Mass is given, or we know the mass of an electron. V is given, EB. See, the magnetic field given is in Gauss, that is a unit, the smaller unit. So it is equal to 6.5 into 10 raised to minus 4 Tesla. 1 Gauss is equal to 10 raised to minus 4 Tesla. So you substitute this value similar to this. Again question number 12, obtain the frequency. So here we have written the frequency formula. Either you use this formula V upon 2 pi r, or frequency can be written as EB upon 2 pi m. Then this also we have discussed in the theory, that whether it is a frequency or a periodic time or a angular velocity or angular frequency, they all are independent of a linear speed. So though we are using here the formula V upon 2 pi r, but we have to remember R also have a relation with V and omega. So that is V is equal to R omega. So R is V upon omega. So VV get cancelled. So in any case, the frequency does not depend on the linear speed. Substitute this value and find out the frequency. So this is question number 11 and 12 from the exercise. Now let us come to the next topic, that is velocity selector. Now why it is named as velocity selector, that we will see in the end. Now we know that suppose a charged particle, moving with velocity v vector enters electric field and magnetic field, then the force acting on it, we know that the force acting on it is called as a Lorentz force. So that force is equal to Fe plus Fm, sometimes we write Fb also. So this was equal to QE vector plus Q V cross B. So this was written as Q E plus V cross B. So this was the resultant force. Now we will consider a situation where the electric and the magnetic field are perpendicular to each other. So for understanding this velocity selector, we assume that electric and magnetic field are perpendicular to each other and the direction of the motion of the particle is perpendicular to them. It means all three are perpendicular to each other. So let us consider a situation where the velocity of a particle is along the x-axis, the electric field is along the y-axis, and the magnetic field is along z-axis. So we have all the three vectors perpendicular to each other. So suppose E vector is perpendicular to B vector and charged particle enters perpendicular to both of them. So now the charged particle is also perpendicular. In other words, all three are perpendicular to each other. So let us see the direction of the forces. Clearly the electric field, so if this is a charged particle, say a positive charged particle, and if we have only the electric field, so it will move along the y-axis or along the J unit cap we will represent. But if we have a magnetic field, let us see what will be the direction of this force. So therefore F vector can be written as, this is Q E j cap plus V I cap cross B, and this B is taken along Z axis, that is K cap. So we have I cross K, that is minus J, and therefore F is equal to Q E minus sign VB J cap. This is the situation. It means if I consider only the magnetic force, the direction will be along negative y-axis. If I consider only electric field, then the electric force is along y-axis. This is the situation if we consider these conditions. All three are perpendicular to each other. We have taken an example. Now suppose these are the two forces. QE is the electric force. QV cross B, that is QVB, is a, consider or create a situation where the electric and the magnetic force are equal. The resultant force comes out to be 0. So let us see what happens if individually the electric and the magnetic force or electric or magnetic field is present. Let us consider this is a screen where a charged particle will strike. Now this was an experiment which was performed by J.J. Thomson to determine the ratio of charge to the mass. That we will see later on how this theory is useful to determine the ratio of the charge and the mass. Now suppose this is a screen where the charged particle should strike. Now this is a charged particle moving with the velocity v vector along the x-axis. Let us assume that only the electric field is present. Now if electric field is present, the electric force is QE. So the force acting on this charged particle should be along the y-axis. So instead of going straight, this particle will be deflected. Let this point is P1. This is the distance or the deflection of a particle from its original path, which we have determined in chapter number 1, electrostatic, where only the electric field was present. Now suppose only the magnetic field is present. In this situation, the direction of the force is I cross k, that is minus j. So in this situation, the particle again, instead of going straight, it will be deflected in the downward direction. Say this point is P2. So if I make these two forces equal, so this particle will remain undeviated and I can determine its speed by which it strikes the screen. So this method is used to determine the speed of a charged particle and therefore it is been referred as a velocity selector. So all the particles, it is not necessary we have a single particle. There may be a number of charged particles. Some have charge E, some have charge 2E, some have mass m, some have mass 2m, some have a mass 4m. Here m is a reference to the mass of a proton or a mass of a electron. That depends what are the charged particle you are taking. So if I take a beam of a charges, then I will allow them to accelerate and strike the screen. Now all the particles which are undeflected, that will have a speed, particular speed, which we will find out from this formula, that by what speed they strike the screen or they hit the target. So generally it is used to determine the speed by which a charged particle should strike the target or a screen, and therefore out of many charged particle we can select only a charged particle having a particular velocity or a particular speed. Now how it can be done? Clearly you have to remember, in the presence of electric field, this is the path of the charged particle. In the presence of only magnetic field, this is the path followed. Now if both are perpendicular to each other, arranged in a situation means I have taken E along J, B along K. So these two forces comes out to be opposite. So if the situation is, if Fe magnitude is equal to the magnitude of the magnetic force, we are taking their magnitude same and the direction is already opposite, then the resultant force F vector, that is a Lorentz force, is equal to 0. So the magnitude of this Lorentz force is 0, and therefore I can write 0 is equal to Q E minus VB, and therefore E is equal to VB, or I can write V is equal to E by B. So this is the situation. Now if any charged particle move in the presence of electric and magnetic field, and if it remain undeviated from its original path, it strike the screen along a straight line, then to determine its speed we have to simply take the ratio of the magnitude of electric field intensity and the magnetic field intensity. So the ratio of electric field intensity and the magnetic field intensity, that is the magnitude only, will give you the speed of that particle. So it may be possible that there are many charged particles. There are many charged particles having different speed and different mass. So initially, suppose I have particle 1 whose charge is E and the mass is me. Another particle whose charge is 2E, mass is 4E, 4me. Like this, if I have a different charged particle having different speed, all are moving with a different speed. One have a speed v1, v2. Now all strike the screen undeviated. Now some may be deviated, some may not be deviated. But it should be clear, if they strike the target in the presence of electric field and still they remain undeflected, undeviated from its original path, then its speed must be equal to the ratio of the magnitude of the electric and the magnetic field. So it is being named as velocity selector. Out of a beam of a charged particle, we can select the particular particle moving with a particular speed. So this is how we can determine the speed of a charged particle. Now this method was employed by J.J. Thomson to determine the speed of, to determine the ratio E by m. Now there are many methods to determine this ratio of charge to the mass. So let us see an overview of J.J. Thomson method. So what is the application of this theory? It can be used to determine the ratio E by m, that is done by J.J. Thomson. Or this method can also be used to determine or to select a charge of a particular speed, that is all the charged particles. So bundle of the charged particle, many charged particles are moving with a different speed, having different masses. They are being referred as a beam of the charges. So that beam is passing and they remain undeflect, then their speed should be equal to this, that is the ratio of E by m. So it is used to determine this ratio. Also, this method is used in a device called mass spectrometer. Now again, this is a device which is used to separate the charged particle, which I am referring. We have a beam of a charged particle. Now particularly this mass spectrometer is used to separate the charged ion according to the ratio of E by m. So to determine the ratio of E by m, you need a speed. Now from where you will get the value of the speed of a charged particle? So that speed is determined by this formula. We will see how to determine E by m or how E upon m was determined by J.J. Thomson. So these are the application, and if E and B are perpendicular to each other, we generally call them E vector and B vector are crossed. So in a device called cyclotron, which is a device to accelerate a charged particle. So if I have to accelerate a charged particle, the electric and magnetic field should be crossed. That is, the electric and magnetic field are perpendicular to each other. So in cyclotron, the electric and magnetic field are crossed. So these are the different methods where this theory is useful. Now let us consider an overview of J.J. Thomson. Now J.J. Thomson determined the ratio of E by m. This is the simple experimental arrangement where the two conductors in the form of a disc are connected to a high tension voltage, and there is a small hole in this. So we have two conducting materials or a two solid discs which are maintained at a low potential and a high potential. These are the two plates one is positive, one is negative. That is, the electric field is along the negative y-axis. Magnetic field is crossed. Here we have taken, it is going into the plane of paper. So this was created like this. This was a two plates. One is positively charged, one is negative. So electric field is in the downward direction. The arrangement is made. You can make a arrangement as per our convenience. Now the magnetic field. So to create a magnetic field, we take a horseshoe magnet. Suppose this is a horseshoe magnet. One is north pole and one is south pole. The magnetic field is from north to south. So here the magnetic field is taken along the negative x-axis. So it was kept like this. So it was a U-shaped, that is a horseshoe magnet, where it was kept like this. So this is the plate which will create an electric field. So electric field is in downward direction. Now if I take this as a north pole and this as a south pole, so this is a north, this is a south. So magnetic field lines from north to south, it is kept like this, that is perpendicular to the plate, that is normal to the plate. So this is how the electric and magnetic field are crossed in J.J. Thomson experiment. This is a cathode ray tube. This entire tube is called as cathode ray tube, which was initially used in television. Now the technology has been changed, so the tubes are being replaced. These two rods or these two conductor, one of this conductor which is at a high potential have a small hole in it. Now this is the directions. Now what happened when the high tension is applied? The high tension is applied, electrons, this is at a low potential, that is the electrons are being emitted, or the emission of the electron take place. Some electron or maximum number of electron will pass through this small hole, though some electron will neutralize this plate which is at a high potential, that is positively charged, but maximum number of electron will pass through it. Now this is called the beam of the electrons. This is the beam of a electron. Here we are taking an example where the beam of electrons are moving along the x-axis, because after this experiment the mass of electron was also determined. For the time being we are trying to determine the ratio of charge to the mass, that is E by M. So this is a beam of electron which is moving along x-axis. Now we have already studied that if only the electric field is present, then this all electron will be deflected in a downward direction. So as compared to theory, I have changed this direction. And if there is only magnetic field, this beam will strike at this point. Now when this electron strike the screen is made up of a specific or a particular material. It produces a fluorescent effect of fluorescence emission, or sorry, fluorescence process take place, that is a light is produced, a dark spot is produced which gives an effect like fluorescent. So this electron strike the screen. We will discuss this experiment in the coming chapters also. So this is in the presence of field, this is in the presence of magnetic field. Now what we have done in this theory, we have to adjust the value of QE and this such that the particle remain undeviated and it strike at this point. So we made electric field and the magnetic field to be crossed. So when this beam strike straight or at this point O, the force was the resultant force was 0. Now how this experiment can determine the value of E by M? Clearly if I put this convention here, this is minus E and this comes out to be I cross minus K, so it comes out to be plus. So I have to make an arrangement again where Fe will be equal to Fm. Now, how this is determined? So, when we apply a high tension, the emission of electron take place from low potential to high potential. Few electrons will neutralize this effect, but most of the electron, which will be called as a beam of electron, will pass through it. So, you are providing the energy. Emission of electron take place, and the energy of this electron is EV, where V is the potential. High tension, that is a potential. So that is EV, that is the energy of an electron. And this much energy, this is an energy due to which the electrons are emitted from this conductor and they comes into motion. So this energy, in fact it is the potential energy, is converted into the kinetic energy. So this energy potential is converted into the kinetic energy. Therefore, E upon m can be written as V square upon 2. Let us take this as a capital V, that is a potential. So this is E upon V. Now, we have to determine this ratio. High tension voltage, the value is known to us. From where we will obtain this V. So because the particle or a beam of electron is undeflected, V was found to be E by B. That is what this theory have taught us. So we substitute this value. So this will be equal to E square upon twice V B square. So this theory was used by J.J. Thomson, and from this simple mathematical calculation, we can also find out the ratio of E by M, that is E square upon 2 capital V, where V is the potential difference of this high tension, B square. This is one method. Another method, if you remember, this was your experiment, this was your question in chapter number 1. Again, here a charged particle, let us take an electron. Now this electron moving with the initial velocity V is moving into or is passing through these two plates, that is the electric field. Let the length of this plate is denoted by X or L we have taken. So the particle will be deflected towards positive plate. And if you remember, the formula for Y was found to be half QE X square upon MV square. This was the derivation we have done. So here if I take an electron, it is E. Now I have to determine the ratio E by M. So E by M can be written as 2Y V square upon Ex square. Say this Y can be easily determined by how much angle it is deflected. So we can calculate this distance either with the help of this angle, or you can directly measure this distance by which it is deflected by seeing the spot on the screen. So Y can be determined. E we know, X, that is the length of the plate, we know. Again we come to an unknown, which is the original speed of a particle. So if this particle enter with the speed V, this V is the initial speed, then V can be taken as E by B. I substitute this value here. So 2Y, it will be written as E square upon B square. E will be cancelled. So E upon Bx square. So this is another formula from what we can find out the ratio of charge to the mass of a charged particle. So this is how the velocity is selected. Though we have to remember this theory only, we don't have this theory in our syllabus, but this is how J.J. Thomson determined E by M with the help of this crossed electric and the magnetic field. So there are two different methods to determine this. So velocity selector concept is used in mass spectrometer. It was used by J.J. Thomson. So here we wind up our today's lecture. Have a good day.